Hello, it is the DE Diva, aka the Delaware blogger, coming to you with another episode of Podcasting Your Purpose. And today I want to talk about your voice. That's right, your words, podcasting your words. And the reason why I wanted to talk about that is I don't know about you, but I start my day in prayer with a gratitude journal as well. But my daily bread is what I read every day. And today, is actually Tuesday, the 14th of April, and it says, gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Proverbs 16:24. Gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Yes, your words can make others feel wonderful, which is why I am promoting podcasting like nobody's business, especially during this time of unease, uncertainty, and stress. Creating a podcast is not only good for you, but it can be good for someone else's soul, sweet to someone else's soul. So if you have words of wisdom, words of comfort, or words of laughter, share it on a podcast. Create a podcast so that you can become that go-to for when people feel like they need you. Starting a podcast is easy. You know that. We talk about that every day, all day long. And I always promote Anchor FM. Again, that's the place to begin. I am working with so many clients. I'm getting clients each and every week. And what we're simply doing in those 60 minutes, which is actually broken down into two 30-minute sessions, where we not only talk about your title, your description, the date of the promotion of your podcast, as well as if you're going to be a solo or you're going to have guests. Perhaps you want to bring on others that want to share their words, their songs, their sweet words for the soul. Your equipment, whether you just have a smartphone on your Android or iOS, or if you go out and you purchase an additional microphone, which I have here that I've purchased from Amazon. Again, you can get any microphone that works for you, but I want you to worry about your budget first before you invest in a lot of, expensive equipment, as well as your schedule. Remember, we talk about the schedule. You want to plan your podcast, because if you don't plan, you will fail. You got to get that date. You got to put it in your head. And that's one thing I stress to all my clients when they're thinking about their title and they're thinking about their audience and they're writing out their description and they know the date that they want to promote or to publish their podcast. I want to make sure that they have episodes in the bucket. On the back of this book, the 2020 Podcast Planner, I want you to put in your episode number, the guests, if you're going to have any guests, the topic, the pre-record date. Now remember, I normally pre-record on Zoom, whether I am doing a solo podcast or an interview podcast, so that I have that on my laptop. The date you actually publish and how you are promoting it, whether you're using your blog or your social media platforms. Speaking of which, let's talk again about promotion pointers. Once you have chosen those words, again, those healing words, remember what this says, gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Your voice, your vision, your passion can literally change someone's life. So once you've created your podcast episodes, it's never one and done. You want to always promote your podcast episodes. Take that URL. Once you've uploaded it, if you are uploading it to Anchor FM, you will have the option to share that link. So share that link on all your social media platforms, and never just one and done. You want to share it on the day that it was published, and then maybe several hours later, because again, people are on social media at different times during the day. And then what I like to do is use Buffer app and Meet Edgar. And what I do is I promote it for the following week, maybe on a Saturday morning when people are up early, or that following month, but it's never one and done. So promote that URL on all your social media platforms continuously. The day it's published, early morning or evening, and then another time during that day, the following weekend, and then the following month. And if it's something that's timely, for example, if you have information and you're sharing that information about the pandemic, then of course you're going to want to share it more than once a month. You want to share it at least once a week. Use your show notes when you are describing what the podcast is about. So you can say new podcast, and then let people know what are some of the topics that you're going to be covering. If you are simply providing words of inspiration, for example, gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones, let them know that you're going to be discussing Proverbs 16:24, and then talk about it. Read more about it. You can do it. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to talk about, let people know in those show notes when you're promoting it so that they know whether or not they want to tune in and listen to the entire episode. Take some quotes or memes or, again, scriptures for your description. When you're promoting that podcast, use those key words that's going to show up in a Google search. When people are looking for certain things, make sure you're using those keywords. And again, if you need assistance on thinking about what people are asking, just either Google it or go to Quora. Remember Quora.com? That's the biggest question and answer site out there. See what people are asking. What do people want more information about? And use your podcasting platform to answer some of those questions. Hashtags, that pound sign. Again, those are searchable keywords. Use those when you're promoting your podcast on Instagram, on Twitter. And again, people have their thoughts on using hashtags on Facebook, but I use them. So use those hashtags with those keywords because they are searchable. Also, if you have guests on your podcast, make sure that they're promoting your podcast as well. They have a whole nother audience. Send them the link to the podcast episode. Send them some keywords. Send them the links. Let them know that you're sharing it onto your circle, and you'd appreciate it if they shared it with theirs. Now, I've found that sometimes you have to ask. You would think that it's common sense that people would promote your podcast interview with them, but it's not always the case. And it's never just, one and done. Again, you want them to share it. And so that every time you promote them, make sure you tag them or mention them to give them, that, oh, okay, I need to share this again. Friends and family, especially during this time, call up your friends, call up your family, say, hi, how you doing? What are you doing today? Guess what? I have a new podcast episode. Let them know, and share that with them. Send them an email, send them a DM, send them an instant message saying, hey, check out my latest podcast episode, and ask them to share it as well. And speaking of asking, that's that call to action. The CTA. Tell us what you want us to do. Do you want us to share your podcast? Do you want us to leave a comment? What do you want us to do? Do you want to buy? Do you want us to come over to your blog? Remember, head over to dellblogger.com to get your copy of Basic Blogging Tips for Beginners. That's right. At dellblogger.com, you can actually order a copy of Basic Blogging Tips for Beginners. Or if you're interested in the book bundle, remember the book with that, along with the Podcasting Your Purpose web book, that book bundle is $26, and I go out every Tuesday and mail these out, so I can autograph this copy and mail it out to you. So that's my CTA for the day. Again, paid social. If you want to pay social media, if you want to pay for Facebook ads, if you want to pay for Instagram ads, and you think it's worth it, invest in it. Because again, this is you. This is your podcast. This is your voice. This is your vision. This is something that can change someone's life. Again, gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Proverbs 16:24. So those are just some quick pointers for promotion. Let's go through it one more time. Make sure you are promoting the URL for the podcast. Make sure that you're writing up some show notes that you can share. And you know what? You can also create some quotes and memes and GIFs, something fun, images. Oh, and speaking of images, you can also do the Wave to get the audio so that people can see that moving. There's other apps out there called Audiogram. So people like shiny objects, right? They want to see stuff. It's never one and done. Promote it on the day that you've published, then later on that day, then the weekend, and then the next month, and so on and so on. Use the hashtags. Those are searchable. I use them on everything, just like hot sauce. I use that ish on everything. If you want to pay to play, pay for the promotion or boosting on Facebook or Instagram. And make sure you put it on LinkedIn as well. And those hashtags, podcast host, podcast life, podcast guest, podcasting, Delaware podcast, whatever the case may be. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers that you have a new episode. Listen and share it. Speaking of listening and sharing, make sure that call to action is what you tell them what you want them to do. Also, ask your guests. If you have guests, ask them to share it as well. Email lists. I forgot that. You should be collecting email lists, and you should have a place to store them, whether it's on MailChimp, Constant Contact, Mad Mimi, whatever, so that you're sending out your weekly or monthly newsletter with the links to your podcast. Again, give people an option, ways to get your podcast. It may be on social, it may be in an email, it may be even a video on YouTube, right? But let people know there are ways to get your podcast. Speaking of which, Blog Your Way to a Business Profit is every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Blog Talk Radio. Remember, Blog Your Way to a Business Profit. That's my one podcast with Elite Conversations Radio. That's every Wednesday at 1. And then on Tuesdays on Anchor FM, I have the podcasting pointer. So what I do is I take what I have here on YouTube and I repurpose it to put it on the podcast on Anchor FM. Repurpose your content. Repurpose your content. Remember, that's also another pointer that I might have missed. Repurpose it not only from video to audio, but also from audio to written. So you can do a blog post as well. Create a website that's just nothing but your podcasting content. So those are some great promotional pointers. Again, Blog Your Way to a Business Profit is every Wednesday at 1 on Blog Talk Radio, where I talk about building your blog, being successful with your blog, driving traffic to your blog, as well as monetizing your blog, which is also included in the basic blogging tips for beginners. You can order that by heading over to dellblogger.com, or if you'd like to place an order, $9.99. The book bundle, which also includes the Podcasting Your Purpose webbook together, that's $26. But if you just want this, that's $15.99. If you want the book, it's $9.99, and I will autograph it and send it out to you every Tuesdays. I am at the post office mailing them out. So let's not leave you. I always leave you with the 7 reasons why, or 6 reasons. I think I cut it back to 6 reasons why you should start a podcast. And that's right here in this book. So you'll hear it and you'll read it. And I talk about the power of podcasting, but why you should start your podcast. You ready? Number 1, it's easy and convenient to consume. Remember, when people pop these earbuds into their ear or the headsets on their head, they're easily consuming your content. They can continue walking the dog. They can continue working out. They can wash the dishes, wash clothes. They can do whatever they want to do. They have total control. And as humans, we love control. So again, it's easy to consume for your listeners, your followers. It expands your audience and broadens your brand. We are now online constantly because this is how we are connecting. We want to get more ears and eyes on our brand. So this is a great way. A podcast is a great way in which to broaden your brand and expand your exposure online. Excuse me. Got to make sure you have this, what I'm telling you. Always have some water or coffee or something. See that? Delaware Blogger Podcast. That's my promotion. Yeah, that's my logo. Okay, it's inexpensive and easy to produce. Remember, you have your phone. If you want, you can go ahead and get a mic. I have this one here. This is a small one. I use this when I'm recording on my smartphone. I also have one that I use for my laptop. This one, I also have the Yeti mic. And again, tricks about, recording. Record in an area it's quiet. If you're in the basement, in the closet, make a tent, a fort, cover yourself up, get up underneath that. People can't see you. So, all right, or you can get the padded pads for your wall. You can literally do that. All that information is in this web book as well. What else? It gives you an option to interview other experts in the field. So if you have something and there's someone that you want, if there's a topic, whether you're an author, a musician, an entertainer, a comedian, you want someone else on your podcast, this gives you a little clout when you reach out to them and say, I have a podcast and I would love to have you as a guest. And they can say, oh, okay, this is a perfect platform for me as well. It helps you stand out from your competition. We all have a voice, we all have a vision, but we all have a gift to share. What is it that you can do, that you can share, that you can teach, that you can educate, that you can even inspire others? Create that podcast to do so you can rise above your competition. And when all this is said and done, people will remember you. Also, it builds trust in your audience. People start to like you. They hear your voice. They come to you. Again. Gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. They want to hear your voice. They want to like you. They like you. They trust you. And then later on, if you have something to sell, they'll buy from you. And speaking of buy from you, it does increase your customer set. If more people know you, like you and trust you, you're going to get more customers that way. But these are just a few tips that I have within this book, The Power of Podcasting. Again, the web book is $15.99 separately. If you'd like to do the book bundle with the basic blogging tips for beginners, that is also available. Together, it's $26. If you'd like to send me an email, please do so at info@ablakeenterprises.com. Please, my call to action, my CTA is thumbs up this video. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to this video. Make sure you share this video with others. Head over to dellblogger.com to not only order the book, but to read more on my posts. And remember, every Wednesday at 1 o'clock on Blog Talk Radio, Blog Your Way to a Business Profit podcast on Blog Talk Radio under Elite Conversations, which is the greatest hosting plan. I love them. So I'm going to leave the link to them as well. So until the next time, stay smart, stay safe, and stay social at a distance, because I will see you in cyberspace. See ya. It's the DE Diva, aka the Delaware Blogger. Have a beautifully blessed day. See ya.